Tell us a little bit about Ignatius of Loyola. Some people listening might not be aware of who he is, where he came from. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, so Saint Ignatius, history-wise, he was born, they think about 1490, 1492. So right around the Christopher Columbus time, and his brother actually served on a ship with Christopher Columbus. So kind of gives you a perspective of when he was about. As he got older, that was kind of the height of the Reformation. So there's a lot of turmoil in the church, a lot of things going on, the Inquisition's happening. And St. Ignatius himself actually went to the Inquisition 3 times because of his teachings were that challenging to where he was pushing the boundaries of, what people thought about their faith and their connection with God and their relationship with him. And that's kind of one of the things I think that's really cool about him is the fact that, Protestants will like him because, hey, he pushed the line far enough to where even he got pulled in by the Inquisition. But at the same time, Catholics can respect it because in the end, the church said, yeah, it's good, right? But his actual story, though, he had grown up and he always wanted to become a knight. And he thought that was the thing to do. And really, that's how people at that time got fame and power and things like that, was from their military pursuits. So he really wanted to become a knight, win the girl. There was this princess he had a thing for. And he went off to battle. And unfortunately, he got hit in the leg with a cannonball. And that sent him back to recover. And really, he should have died from it. But the army that he was going against, as a French army, thought he was so brave that they actually carried him back to his home and so that he could be recovered.
Yeah.
Well, he spent months and months and months recovering. And he was so vain that, when his bone reset, because they broke his leg in multiple places, when his bone reset, it was deformed. And he was and they used to wear those tights at the time. He was so worried about how it would look and whether women would be attracted to him, that they had him re-break his leg multiple times and do multiple surgeries so that his leg wouldn't be crooked.
Oh my gosh.
And so really he was a vain man, right? That kind of sets a stage of where he's at mind frame wise. Well, while he's laying there, and he was there for, a better part of a year, he didn't have anything to do. And it's not like he could pull up Netflix and start binge watching, Game of Thrones or something like that. So he had to find something to do with himself. Well, the only books they had in the house at the time were a book on the life of Christ and a book on the life of the saints. And so begrudgingly, he decided to read them anyways. And all of a sudden, to his surprise, though, he actually started really falling in love with it, started inspiring him. And especially as he'd read about the saints like Saint Francis and others that, the lives that they were living, he started seeing like, wow, they're kind of soldiers too. Instead of being, soldiers of the world, they're soldiers for Christ. And that was something that started to really play in his mind a little bit. And when earlier I talked about this idea of using your imagination to make a decision between two things, it came from practical experience from him. Because as he was reading, there were times that he would imagine his life as a knight and trying to figure out, wow, is this really for me? Is this the life that I want to have? And he'd be excited for a minute, and it was, chivalrous and gallant and all this kind of stuff. And he thought this was the life to have. But then after he was done, he kind of went back to just feeling kind of blah again. But then when he started thinking about, well, what if I try to follow the saints and try to be like Saint Francis or Saint Benedict or one of these others, he would get that same sense of joy. But the difference is that joy would stay with him throughout the day. And this is where the discernment of spirits comes from. His idea of discernment, where you imagine two different things and see where God is pulling your heart. And what he realized was that, he was excited about, becoming a knight, but it didn't really give him that long lasting peace. Whereas becoming a saint, he knew that God was pulling him in that direction because of that peace that God was giving him.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out this clip from the Practical Theism podcast. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to check out the full episode, you can do so by finding it on our YouTube channel. Definitely consider subscribing and ringing that little bell so you can continue to get updates and notifications when we release new episodes and new clips just like this one. I hope to see you soon.